Here we go. Are you excited, Jeff?
I'm excited, Matt.
I'm excited. Here we go. Play AWL2 Early Alpha. This is
Number
six or
six?
something.
It's 6.
This might be the one oh look. The bug rears its ugly head again. This might be one of the biggest changes we've made from one alpha to the other.
That's true.
So
we
many.
did a lot of talking about and implementing of changes. So let's just kind of go through what's new so far. So there's a whole bunch of stuff to digest. So first thing is that we took away the right analog twin stick aspect of attacking,
That's right.
and we replaced it with you just attack the direction that you're facing. We're not sure if we're going to keep that in. I think that it feels kind of good, but we're going to have to play with it some more.
It's kind of more Zelda style, right? Like
and
imagine
it's-
Raga as Link, and I want to hit my button here. I'm shooting my sword projectiles, kind of.
Right.
And it's definitely simpler, and it's got a much different feel to it. It's less kind of Smash TV and more like we were talking about Zelda. Different feel.
Yeah. So I think I like it so far. And one of the big reasons that we want to do this change is not because we wanted to get away from twin stick shooters so specifically. That's sort of part of it, just because it's a little simpler control-wise.
Yeah.
But I think the main reason we wanted to explore this route is that it gives us more consistency between the possessed monsters and Raga.
Exactly.
So your controls don't drastically change every time you hop into a new body, which we didn't really like.
Oh crap! I'm out of mana, so I have to possess here.
Yes, you do.
So here's the new possession mechanic in action.
No, I think we
And-
saw the possession mechanic already, the new one,
The new one. Oh.
last week.
So here is a good example of the new mechanic. So previously, Raga would have the right analog stick shooting attacks in various directions, which makes no sense with the armor, because the armor pretty much just has you press a button and an action happens, right? And so Raga and the monsters being on the same page means that you go from a control scheme where you're moving around with the left analog stick or the D-pad, and you're hitting, I think right now it's X to attack. And that stays the same. And so you kind of have, like, you live in the same pool, Like, you don't have to learn a brand new set of mechanics for every single monster you possess.
Right, and something else that we had talked about was that the right analog stick is very opinionated, right? Like,
Yeah.
it kind of wants you to be throwing a projectile in some direction or another.
Right.
And so kind of taking that into just a binary, like pressed or not pressed input, it actually opens the door to a lot more different kinds of attacks, like the stomp attack, for example, things
Yeah.
that don't really have like a specific direction necessarily.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Something else that we did with interaction was we took away the interact button and we made it now just bump to interact, I
Yeah.
think. Or did we talk about that last week?
Maybe. Man, there's so many changes. It's just because we're trying to slowly distill down, or actually quickly distill down the game to exactly what we want it to be, And a big
Yeah.
part of that is culling, Like, we'll try some things, we add some features, and then we play it, and if we don't like it, or if it's just not feeling as good as we want, then recently we're very unafraid of making drastic changes if we feel like it'll make the game as a whole better.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff that we cut is, stuff that we could easily add back in should the situation arise.
Yeah.
So we got the bump to interact. So now you just kind of hit a chest to open it. You hit a chest or hit a door to unlock it. You collide with something to purchase it.
Whoa, look how much money I have.
Yeah, that's a debug I left in there by accident.
I like it. I'm rich.
And then the interaction with like dialogue and stuff now happens in those tooltips. So like when you get close to an entity, it'll pop up a little speech bubble saying, whatever.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
I like it.
Removes the need for hitting a button, which is kind of nice. And it's just easier, right? Like people already understand move, right? Or at least we hope they do. We're going to teach them how to move in the game.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to do anything extra to get dialogue from the characters besides just be close to them.
Nice. I think I'm finding a bug. Let's see if I can reproduce this. No, never mind. I thought I saw something where the armor, this little puff of smoke damage or something, was persisting and being drawn in the wrong place.
Interesting.
I'm always on the lookout for bugs, especially at this early alpha stage, because there are bugs.
There
Oh.
will be bugs, yes. Here be
Tommy.
bugs.
There be bugs. No!
You got smashed.
I'm not very good with the armor.
No,
See,
the armor is pretty dangerous.
This is a great example of why we like this new cohesive kind of feel for both the monsters and the characters, because even though, like we talked about earlier, the control is the same, the input to attack, or the button to attack is the same, it still takes a lot of getting used to just to play from Raga to the armor, because the armor has all this complication here. You're not, you're not like immediately hitting a button and a projectile flies out in front of you. You have to time it. So the armor is really tricky to use. If there's a projectile coming at me, I got to hit the button early to get my little defensive circle here going.
Yeah, that's true.
So the closer we can make those mechanics, pretty much the better. The easier it'll be for the player to like get used to what they're doing and be able to play the game well.
And the philosophy we're pursuing right now is that we want to make the input easier on the player. We don't want it to be necessarily so complicated with all these different kinds of buttons.
Yeah, exactly.
So something else that we did is we sort of changed how mana works. We kind of took away the 3 different colors of mana for the wands, and instead we gave each wand a charge counter. So that's interesting for a few reasons. One is that you don't really have to keep track of like these different kinds of numbers like red, green, and blue, which, I'm sure that some people will get used to and some people might think is cool, but it's also a little overwhelming, especially at first. But the nice thing about the charges is that you get a lot of the same effect as you would with mana, right? You have a limited amount of projectiles that you can use before you're out of that wand.
Right.
But the nice thing about it is that it doesn't, put you in a bad position if, say, you're completely out of green mana and then you open up a chest and there's a green wand and you'd love to have that green wand, but you don't have any green mana, and so it's basically useless to you.
Right.
So with this change, what happens is that, you're out of whatever wand you have that's, out of charges or whatever, and then you open a chest, and really no matter what kind of wand that is, it's going to have mana for you to use.
Yes, and I like something else about it is that, so you saw the last game, I ran out of charges, and that was kind of a problem, because I didn't find any other wands. So what I'm doing this run is I'm trying to kind of body skip a little more. Like possess, say this inkwell right here. I'm going to jump into this spot. Ow! I'm going to jump into this body. I'm close to death here. I got to be careful.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that way I can kill the other stuff in the room without wasting my my wand charges.
Yeah.
Strategy!
So that's kind of like what we're trying to do is really push the game more towards incentivizing possession and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, also just covering up the the wonkiness with being out of mana.
Right.
Not really covering up, but trying to make that not as big of a deal. And one of the things that we talked about a lot, and that seems to be a recurring problem with AWL 1, and then it was becoming a problem in AWL 2, is that you might find wands that you don't want because you're out of juice.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's pretty interesting. And I think that, I'm not sure if it works this way quite yet, but the intention is that when you pick up the same wand that you already have, the charges will just stack.
Yeah, I like that. That reminds me of our very first game called Onslaught Arena, which had that same kind of thing going on. We made the design decision pretty early on that we wanted there to be a limited amount of weapons you had, and so you would have to juggle between the weapons. We didn't want you to just be like, I like axes and I got axes, so I'm going to stick with axes. You've got to respond to the situation, be like, I'm out of axes, so I'll go with spears because they're available, even though I might not normally choose the spears. It takes you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and I think this pushes that in the same direction. So you can see here that the wands have a charge counter on them when you see them in the world, so like the X50.
Yeah.
And you can swap between wands. You can carry 2 at a time, just like you used to be able to do. Something else that's really nice about this is that as designers, it kind of gives us the ability to create really powerful wands that have a very small number of charges.
Right.
Whereas previously you have this situation where like, Chain Lightning is super good, and maybe there's another red wand that's super bad, but they both share the same mana pool. And so, we had the ability to say that, this red wand takes, 2 mana instead of 1, and so that was a way to kind of limit the projectiles. But again, that's a very confusing idea that has to be, bubbled up in the UI, right? Like you need to see, this one takes 2 red mana when I use it, and so, you might not even notice that though.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more simple when, this wand has X charges, and every time you click the button, one charge goes away, no matter what kind of a wand it is.
Yeah. So we talk on the podcast a lot about cognitive overhead. And so especially when you're playing an action game, you might not really want to have to worry about how much mana your current wand takes up, right? And especially if you have to do some complicated math in your head, you have to be like, okay, I'm looking at my red mana resource and I have, 42, and my wand appears to be using 3 mana per shot. And so you're sitting here trying to dodge creatures, trying to avoid traps, trying to execute your game actions well, and you're worrying about these numbers, and it ended up being not a whole lot of fun to do that, right? And so in this new system, you can look down, like right now I know that I've got 27, whoa, man, this is dangerous. I got 27 pump kill shots left. And that's really simple math. I can easily keep track of that number, and then if I want to, I can swap wands, and I don't really, like my cognitive overhead is pretty low. I can handle the situations I've got.
Yeah, I think that I feel like we've done a pretty good job here simplifying a lot of stuff without really sacrificing any functionality.
Yeah.
Because the wands, sort of act the same way they always acted, which is that you have to be somewhat conservative with them, but you don't necessarily have to think about, oh, am I going to screw myself out of, the fissure wand or something if I use too much green.
I love the fissure wand. This is this one right here. Man, this wand's gone through some iterations too. There was, I did it again. This room is really tricky. You come in and your default thinking is like, I'm just going to kill everything because it's a game where you kill stuff, right? But here I messed up because I should have possessed one of the monsters that flies. That way I could go get this this chest. Maybe we should make kitchens. Maybe we should make the chickens fly.
We should make them like, you should be able to press a button and they kind of hover for a moment and they fall down. Like kind of like flap their crafty little wings.
I like that. We should definitely do that. Okay, so here I'm going to hopefully redeem myself.
Hopefully.
So I'm a decapitated pig head, and I'm gonna. You know what I've noticed? Oh, that's interesting. Breakfast sandwich.
That's not very.
That's not helpful for my healthy
situation.
Healthy head. I'm gonna walk around with this guy for a while though. So something I noticed with the new bump to interact mechanic.
Yep.
Is when you first implemented it, I think we were both finding that we would walk up to a chest and hit that old interact button, or walk up to a door and hit that button. We had these kind of leftover muscle memory things going on, right? And I think in these later playthroughs, like this time around, I'm not doing that at all. So I've already lost that muscle memory, and I got to say, I don't miss it.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good change.
That was good. I was doing the same thing where I couldn't tell if it was good or not. Yeah. But I think we decided that it was because you were playing, and I think you didn't even notice at first that there was a change. You were just hitting your buttons, and you're like, "Oh, that change is already in there." I didn't.
Yeah, because I think that we took that button and just removed its functionality entirely. We didn't, like we tend to do. We're like, let's remove this complexity and add more in its place. So when you were hitting that interact button, something else was happening. It wasn't being used. So, I was hitting that button and nothing was happening. And I was still bumping into the entities that I was trying to interact with. And so mechanically it was working the same. It was just that I was doing this unnecessary step of, I knew it, pressing a button that didn't really do anything.
Right.
And yeah, that time I didn't do it. I'm now already used to just bumping into stuff, and I like it better. It's less to worry about. I've already got to worry about moving around the game world. I've got to dodge stuff. I've got to progress from A to B, and the interact mechanic being built on top of that, I just go bump into stuff. It's nice. I don't have to think about which button was that again.
I think the only instance where I don't like it so far is in the room with 9 chests, where it's a little hard to thread the needle in between the chest without bumping into them. But I think we can just solve that by a little bit more generous spacing.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really easy thing for us to do. And we were just talking about how probably that was too many options anyway. It's like, here's 9 chests, and any of them could basically have something random in them. It's a pretty good resource sink. If you have too many keys, then you've got a place to spend it. But really, 3 or so chests would get that across pretty well.
Yeah, I think that what we talked about was that you could have that room with only 3 chests 3 times as often, and you'd have essentially the same idea, but it would be a little more straightforward.
All right, so Raga is down to
Nothing.
yeah. If he gets hit one more time, he's dead. So at least the Inkwell can take 2 hits. Get away! Don't hurt me.
Oh no.
I'm so fragile. Be nice.
You are.
All these jellies. Away. Stay away. The jellies are fragile too.
Another nice side effect of the wand's charge change was that a few wands that we were considering cutting have now felt not quite as bad. Like the Twicycle and the Thricycle that shoot the kind of spread fire, either the 2 or the 3 projectiles.
Yeah, dude. Stuff that was really mana hungry felt terrible. You know, it's the kind of game where you kind of want to be able to just sit here and like, whee, you know, I'm shooting cherries out of my weird dessert jelly body. That's fun. You know, I don't want to sit here and worry about like, oh man, every time I hit that button, it costs me 4 mana or whatever. You know, I just kind of want to come in here and just blow stuff up. Look,
Yeah.
that's fun. Yes.
And there is still charges on, you know, the wands, but you know, you can use the Twicycle or the Thricycle, you know, use it up, and then you haven't really done anything. You know, you haven't screwed yourself over because now you have no blue mana,
Right.
which was to use other wands, right?
Yeah.
So, all in all, with that's feeling pretty good.
I think maybe
So
I'll
are
take
you-
a clam.
Are you on kitchen 3 now?
Yep. This is the boss level, so I better not screw it up.
Better not.
I want to kill that stove. I think clams have 15 health, so they can take usually about 3 hits. So I think that's a safe, pretty safe.
Like that.
As far as
I think
my
they only have
options go.
10 actually.
10. Uh-oh. I'm too squishy. Ooh, here we go. New rocket body time. Yeah. So did we talk about this? Is this brand new for this alpha week, or
It might be, yeah. So we changed the Raga bodies that appear in the world now are not Raga. They're approximations of Raga,
albino raga?
albino Ragas, and they have fewer hit points. So it's a little bit more like you can never get back to your original body, and so we're probably going to have some achievements or stuff around. You know, you have to be starting Raga, not the Raga clone.
Yeah. I like it. It feels kind of different. You know, it's a reminder to you that your state has changed. You know, because if I was in a raga body that I had, you know, like if the raga bodies you pick up looked just like the ones you start with, then you wouldn't have any way of knowing that. And
Right.
The different visuals is also a reminder that, you know, you've got you're different this time around. You know, like I've got less health, and eventually we could have different types of raga bodies. Like this one's, you know, faster, or this one has more attack power or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool to
Yeah.
have some different effects.
And
based
this
on
is
the Raga body.
yeah, this is one of those things too that kind of plays into the story elements that we want to work with, because we've had some people ask questions about like, you know, why are there multiple raga bodies, or you know, what's the deal with the possession, and like why can you possess monsters with your spirit and that kind of thing. And our hope is that we will get to answer those questions with some pretty cool story stuff we're working on.
That is the hope.
That is the hope.
This weapon in particular got a lot better too because by default it has a whole bunch of charges, more charges than any other wand,
Yeah.
but it also fires really quickly and isn't the easiest thing to aim. So, but it feels so much better now.
Yeah, I don't hate it anymore. I kind of like it.
I think it's a mark of a good change when many of the items that we just did not like are now like, yeah, I'll take that. That sounds fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So good times.
I don't
all
think we've
around.
shown the fire fingers before.
Don't
is
know if we
the-
have or not.
5-shot right here. It's really powerful. I'm liking it.
Nice and short range.
Yeah. It's almost like a shotgun blast. Maybe oh no, I was gonna say maybe like kind of like a blunderbuss. I guess that'd be the thing that makes sense in a medieval fantasy game like this. But I really like that we've focused on, you know, all the weapons are wands, right? I like that simplicity because we need that. You know, with a Wizard's Lizard 1, there's none of that going on, and so you could have like there's a fire staff you can get. There, I think there's like an ice wand, and then there's, you know, axes and daggers, and there's a glaive and boomerangs, and just it's fun. Like it's diverse. There's lots of variety, but at the same time, it feels kind of confused sometimes. You know.
And I think that it actually kind of helps push the wands more towards mechanical differences rather than thematic differences when
Right.
they all kind of share the same theme, and so we almost have to differentiate them based on what they do.
Exactly.
which is a much better situation than like, here's a sword. Here's a sword that's kind of slower. Here's
Yeah.
a sword that's kind of faster.
Sometimes we would have these weapons we would add to a wizard's lizard where literally the only difference was, that's a dagger and this is a sword, and they look different, and not even that much different. So, yeah, the mechanical differences, like, that's what really matters to the gameplay, right?
Right, yeah. So, good for us.
It's not a good weapon for the knives.
The fire fingers?
Yeah.
Apparently neither is that one.
Interesting. I kind of like it when there's, oh, I'm out of fire fingers. Well, I guess I'll take that guy back. Ooh, breakfast sandwich. Yeah, full health. All right, I feel prepared for this boss now.
Ooh, breakfast sandwich.
Breakfast sandwich. Mmm.
42.
Yeah, I think
That's
I gotta go
almost,
with that.
yeah, there you go.
It's the meaning of life.
That's true.
I gotta go with it. All right, is this guy gonna kill me or am I gonna kill it? Now taking bets.
I'm hoping you're going to kill him. I mean, it'd be kind of sad if you didn't.
It would be depressing. Oh man,
What a letdown.
you're a little bit of. Oh no! No! Fatal crash.
Oh yeah, I meant to robustify that. So we have a ticket for the crash on the boss. He's trying to
love that.
spawn something that doesn't exist.
I meant to robustify that. That's
I
funny.
meant to robustify it,
What
but I
is he-
didn't
what's he
because
spawning?
I'm lazy. I think it's the little fireballs trying to spawn mana. Remember?
Oh yeah.
And so I removed mana from the
Yeah.
equation, and now those things are still trying to spawn mana to give you back more mana during the fight.
right.
But such is life.
Welcome to alpha game development, everybody.
That's true.
Once
The good
we're
news is
at-
it's a really easy thing to fix, and I should have fixed it before the video, but I forgot about it. So my apologies to Matt and all the viewers.
I like it because you're never going to see this. Well, that's the hope anyway. After you know what I mean, like after a certain point in development, this should be something that never ever happens again. And
You'll never see a crash in our game ever again.
let me just stick my foot all the way down my throat.
Yes.
Yeah, so it'll be a problem later, I'm sure. But you know what I'm saying? Like this, hopefully, is something that you only get to see during these early days, right?
Yeah, so it's a treat, not
treat.
not a bug. It's a feature.
That's what we're going with.
That's right.
Anyhow.
I think that's all we got for this week. Thanks for checking out Wizards Lizard 2 Alpha 6, and we will see you next time.
Please subscribe so you can see the video next week. Thanks a lot.
Ship it.